Hello, and welcome to Season 2 of the Plant Pod. In this episode of the Plant Pod, I sit down with Amy Stubbs. Amy is the Project and Development Manager at British Garden Centres. She is also the daughter of Charles Stubbs, who founded the British Garden Centres brand 37 years ago in 1987, with their first store in the village of Woodthorpe in Lincolnshire. British Garden Centres is the largest family-run garden centre business in the UK, with 62 stores and 3 plant nurseries. Amy has worked in various roles at British Garden Centres. She was the nursery and plant buyer assistant, then moved on to the assistant manager of Woodthorpe Garden Centre. She then became the manager at Brigg Garden Centre, and now she oversees all projects and developments. I would like to say thank you to Amy for taking the time out of her day and talking with me. I would also like to say thank you to Cassie King, the PR officer at British Garden Centres, who made all this happen. This is Season 2, Episode 1 of the Plant Pod. Let's get into it. Amy, thank you for coming on the Plant Pod. It's really appreciated.
It's my pleasure. Super excited.
So, who are you? What's your role in the industry? Because I know who you are, but for the listeners, what's your role in the industry?
Yeah, so I'm Amy Stubbs and I work for British Garden Centres, which is the largest family-owned garden centre group in the UK. And it was actually my dad that set it up. So a lovely family connection there. And we've now got over 62 centres. Within the British Garden Centres, my role is I look after the marketing department. I also look after project and development work. But basically, I get thrown around a bit and I get thrown into all sorts of different random jobs. But it's a good learning curve to take me through what British Garden Centres is all about.
You said about your dad setting it up. That's Charles Stubbs, isn't it?
Yes, that's right.
So you grew up in the industry. Did you
Yes.
ever doubt working in the industry? Like from young, I assume you was in the garden centres with him and the day-to-day life. So growing up in the industry, did you ever think this is what I want to do, or like maybe back off and look at something else?
Yeah, so when I was at secondary school, in year 7, year 8, I did go through a phase of wanting to be a primary school teacher. But I went and did some work experience and I soon got put off the idea. I don't think it was ticking the boxes of job satisfaction as such. So then when I went to do my A-levels, I decided and had a love for business. I did business at GCSE and then went through and did double business at A-level, and I absolutely loved it. So I knew that working in business was something that I wanted to do. And I think the garden centre industry is just such a broad industry, such a friendly industry, that it was quite an easy one to then explore those benefits with it. So I did go and work at Westland for a short while and worked in their marketing department to get a bit of experience outside of British Garden Centres, which I absolutely loved. It was fab working with their team. And then I got accosted back because we decided to take on quite a lot of the YVL centres. So help, all hands on deck was needed.
I was going to say about what the YVAL, because I had Kyle Ross on, who works for YVAL Nurseries in the
Yes.
previous season, and we was on about the garden centre trade there. So how many of their shops did you take over?
So the YVL Garden Centre group, we took, I think it was probably about 40 garden centres that we took on from the YVL Garden Centre group.
Was that all in one go? Or...
Yes, pretty much. There was a little bit of phasing, but all within 1 year, basically.
So I bet that was quite manny.
It was. We went from being a small family-run business, which we kind of had control on everything, to becoming a large business. And having to learn to operate as a large business, and we're still catching up with some of that now. Still, even it takes a lot of adapting to.
So your day-to-day role,
Yeah.
where does it take you? What's your average day?
So every day is quite different. I think the power of Teams is crazy these days. I spend so much time in Teams meetings. I don't know what we would have done without Teams. But my main role, I guess, I split my week. So I probably spend 3 days in the office, which office for me is at Brigg Garden Centre in Lincolnshire. And that's where our head office team is mainly based. So I spend 3 days in the office and I work kind of with the marketing team in those 3 days, set them up for the week, have various meetings about big projects that are going to come up and we need to get over the line. And then the other 2 days I'll probably spend out on the road. So I might be in centres visiting, looking at opportunities that we can improve those centres, project work or marketing opportunities. That's probably roughly how my week is split as such.
And do you enjoy it?
I love it. Love every day.
Brilliant. So the start of British Garden Centres, am I right? It was started in 1987.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
So from that start, the main garden centre Woodford in
Yes, that was
Lincolnshire.
the first garden centre. So that's where my dad lived, and he started by selling cuttings from plants on the side of the road. That's how the idea came about. And then he decided to buy, the site at Woodthorpe, which was next to where he lived, to basically transform that into a garden centre. And that was the first one, Woodthorpe Garden Centre, which is, still in the British Garden Centres portfolio today.
I mean, that's amazing to go from selling cuttings at the side of a road to owning a garden centre. He must have had a real drive and like wanted to do it.
Yeah, definitely. I think he hated school. So it was a good opportunity for him to do anything he could get out of doing schoolwork. But I think, he's a very driven person, and he'll always say to me that he absolutely loves what he does, because if not, he wouldn't be doing it, and he doesn't see it as a job. He sees it as part of his life, really. So no, I think his dedication and commitment is definitely the reason why we've got to the size we are today. Without that, we'd be nowhere near.
So starting from Woodford, how did it expand? Like, where did the idea come from? Okay, let's go and buy another garden centre and then another, and obviously with the Vale takeover.
Yeah, so I think after Woodthorpe and the success of that, then there was the opportunity to buy the old Frost site at Brigg. And that's kind of where Dad's big dreams kind of took place and happened, because he wanted to build a flagship garden centre, and kind of Woodthorpe is a really lovely site, but it was never going to be flagship. So that's where he then built Brigg, knocked Frost down, built Brigg from scratch again, and built it into the flagship, which has become an absolute monster. And then from there, I think there was the desire to keep on taking garden centres on within the Lincolnshire and Yorkshire area, and kind of build that portfolio, which we did, and got up to 10 and then went to 16. And just taking on independence. And I think then he really got the buzz for operating a bigger business. And that's where then when the Vale opportunity came up, it was one of those once in a lifetime opportunities. And he, took the plunge to then really grow.
I mean, taking the plunge, but I mean, it's got to have paid off. I mean, I'm not just saying this because you're on here, but I've been to a couple of British garden centre sites, and they're absolutely fantastic. And I like in the beginning, you said there's 62 centres and the largest family-run chain in the UK. Will you be adding more to it? Are you looking at more centres? And
Yeah, I think so. I definitely think Jazz's ambition is not going to go away. He definitely wants to keep on growing and probably try and become the biggest garden centre operator in the UK. So, yeah, I don't think that he'll be not looking at opportunities. It's just timing and making sure we pick the right sites. We've learned a lot from taking on the Y Vales to understand what a good fit to our business is. So I think it's just waiting for the right opportunities to come up at the right time.
How do you handle that many staff members?
Yeah, so we have over 3,000 team members at the moment, and I think that's been one of the harder bits because we've had to not let go, but yeah, you don't get full visibility or know every single team member on a personal level. But we definitely strive to, as a business, make sure try and have as many personal connections with our team as we can. We have quite a lot of people that have done a long time at our business, and we value their opinions a lot. And I guess it's trying to empower everybody so that all of the managers that manage all the people on the shop floor, they're still kind of taking through the same message that we're trying to deliver at more senior level too. But yeah, it definitely doesn't go without its challenges.
How important do you see apprenticeships for the horticulture industry? Do you have apprenticeships with British Gardening Centres? Do you have people that are on apprenticeship?
Yeah, so it's something we've started to look at, and there's been a small amount of interaction that we've started to do with the apprenticeships. There's definitely a lot more we can do, and I think from our point of view, I guess one of the biggest issues for the industry as a whole, from kind of my point of view, is encouraging younger people into it and getting that sustainable future of young people within the horticultural industry. And whatever we can do from a British Garden Centre's point of view to do that, I think is important. Some of our best team members came to us, started as like compost people, loading cars, and they're now centre managers or regional managers. So we like to take them through that process of, growing with British Garden Centres, their career. And I think apprenticeships is a good way for that to start. I probably would say that's something more we need to tap into and make the most of.
So I know one of your employees, Hayden, won the
Yeah.
Garden Centre Association Award, and he won the Westland Horticulture Award. How is that to see a young staff member get that recognition and get that award?
It was an amazing experience. I was there, watched him do his final presentation. I spent quite a lot of time with Hayden up until the running of the actual awards. We've tried to support him, and seeing how he's grown as a person I feel so proud of him, and I was so proud when he won it. He thoroughly deserved it. And I think we, as a business, we committed quite a lot to the Rising Stars campaign, an initiative run by the GCA and supported with Westland. And I think seeing somebody come out of it and win it made it all pay off completely, and shows that we have got some amazing people out there that we do just need to make more use of, and make sure we get their ideas. And it's great to see that they're so passionate.
Yeah, it's definitely does it got to make you proud, and the fact of how young he is as well, because he's a young worker in the industry.
Yeah.
And to get that, like, must be that proud moment, not just for you guys as the employees, but as for him as well.
Oh, definitely. I think he's been so overwhelmed by it all, but what he's created and what he wants to achieve is absolutely amazing. And I think this is a good recognition point for him that what he is doing is great. And kind of that momentum to keep him going and keep doing this great stuff, which, yeah, fantastic.
Where does he want to go? Does he want to be in the industry for the remainder? Does he want to
Yeah,
just
I
build up
think
and
he loves the industry. I think he loves being creative, and he loves helping and trying to encourage children's gardening and that whole aspect. I think he's got plans where he's wanting to do more activity books and yeah, basically take it further, and grow it. And I'm really excited to see where he gets to with them and how we can support him at British Garden Centres.
that's absolutely brilliant. Really is. Um, uh, with COVID, I mean, I know a lot of people don't like to talk about it, but with how COVID started and the lockdown, how did you guys feel with that? Did you get more online presence from it? 'Cause
Yeah, so I think as a company, we've never been pre-COVID. We've never really gone big with the online store, but obviously that was a huge trigger that we needed to, yeah, get on that bus, I guess. Um, and that's within COVID that we launched Click and Collect because of it, which was a good success and helped keep some business coming through. I think we were frustrated when we couldn't open to start with because I think ultimately, however good Click and Collect was, it was never going to compensate what we were missing from being able to be open in centres. But when we were allowed open, we were really relieved. I'm really glad to see that. I guess one of the good things that maybe came out of COVID is people did realise the importance of gardening,
yeah,
which I think is a positive for the industry, even though it's not in the ideal circumstances. And then since then, we have continued to try and grow our online store, and see where that takes us. But ultimately, we are kind of an in a centre business. We rely on people visiting our centres. We have seen a big uptake and positive spin on the restaurants, and that's the reason why people are coming out to us as well. But there's definitely place for us to have a presence within the online market as well.
it really changed the industry, didn't it? And I don't know for you, but where I was working at the time, as soon as we was allowed to reopen the centres, people just flocked. Did you have the same where as soon as you was open, there was people there ready to come and buy, and it was like this mass. I don't know how to say it. It was like everyone was just there. They got into gardening while they was in lockdown. They was buying stuff online, and then as soon as the centres could open, they were just there. And like the profit margins raised exponentially. I don't know, was that the same for you?
Yeah, no, definitely. We as soon as we could open, we did have, yeah, a good uptake in people wanting to visit us, and I guess it goes back to that bit where I said people did realise the importance of gardening, and it was nice to see a bit of like a younger generation come through and see that as well, and they had time to do gardening and stuff because of COVID. Um, so no, it was good, and yeah, I guess from a garden sales point of view, it was a strong time once we could reopen. It was crazy, and obviously garden furniture, everybody was running out of it.
It was so hard to get hold of.
Yeah,
So in there, you mentioned about the restaurants and people coming
yeah.
in to the restaurants. Do you have restaurants in every centre?
No, we've not got them in 4 of our centres.
Okay. Would you be putting them in? Or
Yeah, I think it's definitely something that there's plans on the cards that those sites need to have restaurants. Where we haven't got restaurants at the moment, we try and put like just a small food offering, like out of like a catering van type situation, which yeah is nowhere near as good as a full restaurant, but is something. Particularly this time of year, January, February time, yeah, restaurants are vital to our business.
yeah, because a lot of people come out and they not for a day out, but they might want a morning out, and it's like, oh, we'll go here, we'll get something to eat while we're there. So it does it invite people in, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. It's the best type of footfall driver we can have.
Yeah, it's really good to have them come in and know that they can not only look for their seeds, their pots, but come on, have a drink, have something to eat with us. And
Yeah,
it
definitely.
brings it all together. Um, so with people in the industry and trying to get younger people in the industry, how do you see that changing? Because from what I know, I did an apprenticeship from 2021 to 2023, and
Yeah,
there was always that we need younger people in. We need to get more young people into the industry. And I know the YPHA, the Young People in Horticulture Association, are really doing great things with that. How important do you think it is to get younger people coming in and to actually let them know when they're leaving school that horticulture is a career that you can go into?
yeah, no, I think it's super important and something that we don't do well enough at the moment. The YPHA initiative is fantastic, and I think is such a good way to try and get it out there that gardening is cool, and yeah, there is young people within this industry. You're not on your own, and to get those networks happening and socializing, it's amazing. I think it's fantastic. Um, but yeah, I think there is so much more that we need government support with, and that we need as an industry to work out how we're going to do it collectively
Yeah.
to get younger people in the industry and make people think that it is a career choice when they're leaving school, that they can choose to come into this.
Do you think it should be put on the curriculum as it's being pushed at the moment and it's
Definitely.
important?
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, I mean, people, yeah, you grow your own veg, you can, it's just, and I think, everybody knows the health benefits it gives. So why would we not want people to be encouraged to go and do that type of thing?
Yeah, I came into the industry quite late, to be honest. I was 30 years old when I came in. And when I was at school, I didn't know that there was a career in horticulture. It just wasn't mentioned. And when
No,
I thought about, well, I didn't even know horticulture was a word, but when I look back on it and I thought about that, you just seen um, gardeners or landscapers or people in garden centres, but there is such a wide variety of jobs out there that I think needs pushing, especially for younger people, getting it in schools, letting them know what's there.
yeah, no, definitely. And like you said, I think it's people don't realize that there is a career to be had in it, but also I don't think they realize the variety of careers that can be had in it. And from going to run a nursery or do something hands-on, go and be a gardener or a landscaper, to being a centre manager, being a retail manager, looking after the marketing department, it's humongous. There's so much broad variety
Yeah.
on skill set that we need within the industry, not just people who like growing plants.
Yeah, it needs to be all types, doesn't it, to
Yeah,
get them in. So how important are people like Lee Connolly, for instance? But he's pushing horticulture in the curriculum. I know he did your kids gardening festival on the
yeah.
weekend at Brig as well. I've got him coming on in a couple of weeks, and how important do you think people like Lee are to the industry and for children?
They're so important, and he had such a good impact on when he came to Brig this weekend, and seeing what he's developed and how he wants to help educate children and get them on board, but also make them realise that it's exciting and gardening is can be really fun. I think is massive, because I think if children get taught something at school, which Lee is obviously pushing around gardening, then they're going to go home, they're going to tell their mums and dads about the fact that they've been taught this really exciting thing at school, and they want to go to the garden centre and buy some seeds at the weekend and grow their own tomatoes. It's just a full cycle, good, positive impact
Yeah.
from so many point of views. Yeah, it's great.
And I think because he's so happy when he's doing it and pushing it as well, it's really good for the kids and the advice is there.
Definitely. Yeah,
Um,
he's just full of it.
yeah, when he was doing the show, I seen on Instagram that you unveiled the new sweet pea variety of seeds from Unwins.
Yes, we did.
Um,
Yeah.
so how did that come about? Because it's exclusive to British Garden Centres, isn't it?
Yes, so it's exclusive to British Garden Centre. So our buying team worked with Unwins to basically, yeah, to come up with the idea. It's also based around trying to raise money for Green Fingers as well, where every sale we make a contribution to Green Fingers charity for the seeds. I think our butterfly logo kind of gave us the inspiration as such that because it's butterfly blue variety, that there's a nice connection correlation there. So no, it just seemed a really good marketing opportunity that and sales opportunity that we should get behind.
Yeah. And you said about giving some of the profits to Green Fingers.
Yeah,
That's just a great charity, and I think it's a great thing that you guys are doing over there, and actually doing that and contributing to it. It's absolutely fantastic.
definitely. No, we love that charity and we want to keep on raising as much as we can.
So, what's your advice if people wanted to get into the industry? How would you direct them?
I think I'd probably encourage them to go and try and speak to somebody first, so that they can kind of help get the contacts. We're an industry that I feel like is very friendly and we always know somebody who can help. So I do think it's, yeah, go in and speak to people. If you think you want to go and work in a garden centre, go and speak to them. Let's hear what they've got to say. And yeah, there's not going to be anybody who doesn't want to help somebody who's young who wants to get into the industry. So I think that's probably the best thing.
And there was one more thing I wanted to ask you was the peat ban.
Yeah,
Obviously, the bagged compost as now in 2024, it's all going to be peat free.
yeah,
And moving forward, all plants are going to be peat free. Do you see that affecting the industry?
yeah. I think it is going to. I think we've got to realise as an industry that there's going to need to be a lot more customer education to tell customers how to grow in peat free because it's not the same,
Yeah.
and we could put a lot of gardeners off because we're basically making them be unsuccessful if we don't help them. Um, and I think that's probably the main difference. I think it is potentially going to affect plant availability and range and offer if we don't try and get some progress with that from a whole import point of view.
Yeah.
Um, and I think it's one that, yeah, it seems to be unwinding itself. It seems to be getting better from how scary it did look of what an impact it's going to be. But like for us as a business, for example, we've made the decision that we need to look at making sure we grow more of our own plants because of it, to try and kind of combat the availability issues that might be with it. And yeah, it's going to be a really interesting time that we're going to have to be on that aim game for.
Do you think it'd be worth doing days where customers can come in and learn the benefits of not only the peat free, but also how to effectively look after their plants now that they are peat free and give them the knowledge?
Yeah, definitely. And I think we're doing a big piece of work at the moment on how we try and get this knowledge to our customers. And yeah, events like that is definitely, and talks and demonstrations is going to be a key factor for us to try and help that. And yeah, hopefully our customers then feel that we're trying our best to make sure that they are successful.
Yeah. And you said about growing more of your own plants in peat free. Do you have a nursery then, do you?
Yeah, so we've got 3 nurseries. So we've got
Oh, yeah.
one at Woodthorpe at the original site. We've got one there Gloucester, and we've got one in the Midlands, Temple Fields. And yeah, I think that's an operation. The Temple Fields one is our largest nursery, and that's the one where we're going to be looking to do the majority of the production. And we only gained that last year, so this is our first proper growing season in there, and it's looking nice and full already, which is exciting. And we think it will be good to see what type of stuff comes out of there this year.
So growing wise, are you growing most of your plants rather than buying them in, or is that something that needs to be transitioned to growing more of your own?
Yeah, I think we still definitely buy the majority of our plants from another supplier. Even though Temple Nursery is a good stepping stone and will mean that we definitely have a good supply compared to what we previously have of our own grown plants. It will be nowhere near enough to fully grow your own or have the majority of it. So there's a lot of work to do there. And I think we're just trying to get to grips with it and fully understand that. But there's suppliers out there that do a great job, and I don't think we'd ever probably flip fully to growing our own, and we continue to commit it to work with those suppliers.
Yeah. And so are you going to go completely peat free from now in the new Temple Nursery?
Not at the moment. We're kind of going to go along with legislation, and as and when legislation tells us that we have to, then we will. But up until then, no, we're probably not going to commit.
Yeah, just be doing trials on various varieties and getting that right, just so they can go out to the public in their best form, really, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
So before I let you go, there's one question that I wanted to ask, and I wanted to do this for season 2. So if you was to if you was to go to Mars, let's say the colony's there, Amy, come to Mars, come and join us. What 3 plants would you take? 1 flower, 1 veg, and 1 fruit?
Oh, that is a very interesting question. 1 veg and 1 fruit. Okay, I think I'd take strawberry plants. I love strawberries. Veg-wise, I think probably potatoes. Just because you do so much with them.
Any variety?
I don't know. Can't beat a Maris Piper, but it's a bit boring. And then flower-wise, I think I'd take hydrangea. I love hydrangeas. Okay. Very pretty.
Definitely. Amy, thank you for coming on.
No, thank you very much. No, thank you. It's been really good. Thank you so much.
Honestly, I really appreciate it. And
no worries.
I wish you nothing but the best, and I wish British Garden Centres nothing for the best. And I can't wait to see where it goes in the future and the continued growth.
Yeah, no, me too. Exciting times ahead.
Definitely.
No, that's good. Well, if there's ever anything else we can help with, me or any of the team, there's Cassie and Eve who would be more than happy to help and contribute, then just shout, because we can definitely help.
Brilliant. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Bye. Hello and welcome to season 2 of the Plant Pod. In this episode of the Plant Pod, I sit down with Amy Stubbs. Amy is the Project and Development Manager at British Garden Centres. She is also the daughter of Charles Stubbs, who founded the British Garden Centres brand 37 years ago in 1987, with their first store in the village of Woodthorpe in Lincolnshire. British Garden Centres is the largest family-run garden centre business in the UK, with 62 stores and 3 plant nurseries. Amy has worked in various roles at British Garden Centres. She was the nursery and plant buyer assistant, then moved on to the assistant manager of Woodthorpe Garden Centre. She then became the manager at Brigg Garden Centre, and now she oversees all projects and developments. I would like to say thank you to Amy for taking the time out of her day and talking with me. I would also like to say thank you to Cassie King, the PR officer at British Garden Centres, who made all this happen. This is Season 2, Episode 1 of the Plant Pod. Let's get into it.